Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beck, and today we're going to be talking about the real life story behind the Disney movie Anastasia. Now, if you were born in the 90s like me, you will have watched a lot of Disney movies, especially the good old school ones, not this new animated business. And one of those movies would have been Anastasia. Now, this movie came out in 1997, so that would have made me 6, and I was obsessed. I remember I would watch it every weekend. I was dancing around my living room. I had the little locket that matched hers. Loved it. Obsessed. I was singing the songs. It was all a great time. But the other day, I was watching something on YouTube, a top 5 or top 10 something. And one of the topics that they touched on was the real story of Anastasia, and I couldn't believe it. So I did a bit of research, and this is what I found. If you haven't seen the Disney movie Anastasia, it's about this young girl. She's part of a royal family, and it starts with them having this big party. They're all in this ballroom having a wonderful time, and then their palace is overtaken. And they all have to get out really quickly. They're all rushing out, and her whole family get on this tram. And she's rushing to try and get on, and she's reaching up to her grandma, and her hand slips and she falls and she hits her head. It's all very dramatic. And she loses her memory. So her whole family gets away safely. The royal family's fine, but they've lost the granddaughter. They've lost Anastasia. And the movie essentially is her living her life for however many years. The grandmother's out there like holding auditions, trying to find her granddaughter. And the real Anastasia comes into contact with these two convicts who are trying to find someone that they can pass off as Anastasia to the grandmother to get the reward money. And by luck and by Disney magic, they find the real Anastasia. And everyone lives happily ever after. It's wonderful. The real story is not like that, even a smidge. The Romanov family, which is the family that Anastasia was a part of, were in power over Russia from 1613 to 1917. However, in 1917, after World War I and the Russian revolutions, they became overpowered. The Communist Party rose to power and overtook the throne. They were forced to abdicate the throne, and the whole family was taken hostage. They were held hostage for over a year, and then in July of 1918, the family were all brutally murdered. That's right, they were all brutally murdered, Anastasia included. They were taken down to a cellar and they were all shot or stabbed to death. And that's where the story would have ended. However, it took a while for their bodies to be discovered. It took until 1991 for a forensics team to identify the remains of the family and their servants. However, the DNA of Anastasia and her younger brother were not there. So that's where all these rumors began. People started to think that Anastasia had escaped, that her brother had escaped, that maybe they were in hiding somewhere, or maybe they'd lost their memory and they didn't know who they were. All of these different things started to circulate around, and people started to think maybe these people are still alive. 2 years after the murders, a lady was admitted to a mental institution. This lady was mute, she wouldn't talk, but people started to realize that she looked a lot like Anastasia. And everyone started to believe this could be her. Eventually, after being mute for nearly 2 years in this mental institution, she started to talk, and she started to say that it was her and that she was Anastasia, and people started to accept her as being Anastasia. The remaining relatives were not so convinced, but she went on with this charade for years and years. However, after she died, they did DNA testing and discovered that she wasn't a member of that family, and she was making it up. It took until 2007, so pretty recently in the scheme of things, to identify the remains of Anastasia and her younger brother. They were found close by to where the other bodies were found, but not with them, which is why it took a bit of time. So this mystery was around for nearly 100 years. They couldn't find the bodies, and then they found the bodies of the family, but not of Anastasia and her brother. And then eventually they found those bodies. But in the meantime, they made all these movies and all these books, and everyone thought that this was a real thing. I know I did. I thought that Anastasia was this person from history who had managed to escape from this horrible thing. Whereas in truth, she was just a member of the family and they all got murdered together. So it's not quite as lovely as we all believed. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss more videos from me. If this video wasn't your cup of tea, this isn't the only type of video I do. I've only just started my channel a couple of months ago, so I'm putting out a whole bunch of different stuff, pretty much anything that I enjoy. This is something that I just came across and wanted to look into more, and I thought, hey, while I'm looking into it, why don't I make a video? So give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments down below if there are any other videos like this that you'd like to see, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Jelly, look over here. Look over here.